why is it that so many neurodivergent young adults that have lower support needs that are able to successfully move into college from high school, why is it that they often will fall apart at the seams? Today, I am going to give you a few pointers on how to get your college age child set up for success this coming semester. Hello, YouTube family. It is Rebecca Robbins from Mindshaper SLP back again. And yes, I'm wearing my Just Bring It shirt because today I am going to talk about how you can help your neurodivergent son or daughter kick their college's assignments this fall. Gotcha. When they enter college. Today, we are going to be talking about how to set up your son or daughter with executive functioning challenges for success when they start entering college, because unfortunately, it is too common of an experience that young students who have executive functioning challenges, whether they're neurodivergent or not, they go to college and they kind of fall apart at the seams because executive functioning skills are the skills that we need to be independently successful in an academic setting, in a work setting, and in life, really. Not to mention the fact that an 18, 19, 20-year-old, they're really still developing their full executive functioning abilities anyway. When we have a son or daughter who is 18, 19, 20, entering college, or maybe even older, and they have executive functioning weaknesses, we really need to go the extra mile and do some things to set them up for success when they enter the college environment. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about how you can set your student up for success when they enter college, because we know that that's what they want. We know that's what you want. Hopefully it's what everybody wants. So why is it that so many neurodivergent young adults that have lower support needs that are able to successfully move into college from high school, why is it that they often will fall apart at the seams? And it is because they don't necessarily have their executive functioning skills fully developed yet, or to a place where they're able to be in the college environment that offers a lot less support than the high school environment did. They're coming from high school where they had a high level of structure and a high level of support, and maybe even a reduced number of assignments that they had to complete in order to pass, in order to be successful. And now they're going into college where you have to be much more self-initiated. It's not that those supports aren't available, they are, but the student has to be self-initiated to set up the appointments with the appropriate personnel at the college to find out about those supports. They have to navigate the college campus to locate where the support centers are, the tutoring centers are, and they might even have to pick up the phone and call certain departments and figure out what they need to do to get X, Y, and Z taken care of. And those are all challenging skills, and they're all skills that require executive functioning strengths or skills to be able to follow through on. And those aren't skills that they have to use in high school, because all of those things are initiated for them. In high school, the guidance counselor is setting up the meetings and telling the students when to arrive at their meetings. Or the teachers might be giving assignments out with the due dates for all the short-term items needed for that long-term assignment already written out for the child. Whereas in college, your professor might not give that level of support. You might be told on day one of class, this is your long-term project and it's due like 2 weeks from the end of class, and then that's it. And it's on the college student to figure out all the little short steps that need to happen to get to that long-term project goal, and figure out when those need to happen in order to get everything done in time to achieve that deadline of when that long-term project assignment is due. As you can see, we've got time management, we've got task initiation, we've got chunking bigger tasks into smaller tasks. These are all really challenging things for a neurodivergent individual or an individual with executive functioning challenges to be able to navigate on their own. And if your child decides to live on campus, then you're talking a whole slew of other independent living skills that they need to be on top of in order to be successful. So now they have to manage their laundry, they have to manage keeping their dorm room clean, they have to manage getting up on time by themselves, all of these things on top of managing the responsibilities just to navigate the college environment. This can really cause executive functioning overload. And it can be a reason why so many young adults that enter into college with these executive functioning challenges kind of fall apart at the seams and don't do as well as they hope to do because it's just too taxing. I don't want that to happen for you and for your child. So today, I am going to give you a few pointers on how to get your college age child set up for success this coming semester. Of course, there's a lot more that goes into it, but these are just a few tips to help get the semester started off on the right foot. A great thing to do before the semester has even started. And now I know that we've kind of missed that boat for this semester because here we are in September and colleges start in August. But maybe for next semester, or if your child is still in high school and you're planning preparation for college, this is an important thing to keep in mind. My first tip is to develop a pre-semester visit game plan to implement before classes start. And I'm going to share an example of this on the screen in just a moment. But basically, once you have your child's schedule, I want you to map out the exact route that your child is going to have to take each day to get to their initial class and then go from there to their next class so that they actually are walking their schedule for each day of the week so that they have that under their belt before they even have to do it on their first day of class. But there's some other aspects to this as well that I want you to keep in mind. Here we have the pre-semester campus visit game plan. This is a template that I created for one of my executive functioning clients who is starting college for the first time this semester. So back in August, before his classes even began, we developed this game plan as to what he was going to do before he even starts on his first day. He is a commuting student. So the first thing we talked about was figuring out the drop-off locations for each day of the week and pickup locations for each day of the week because he's not a driver. So he's going to have someone picking him up and dropping him off each day. We not only determined that, but you'll see in the next tool that I share with you, we also determined who his pickup person and drop-off person was going to be each day. And if we didn't know, we put a question mark and I gave him an action item to find that out, to talk to the adults in his life who are going to help with the transportation and figure that out. As you can see, we have Monday, and I wrote the name of the building of where he was going to get dropped off. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then we had pickup locations and again went through the days of the week that he had classes and where he was going to be picked up each day was automatically figured out. And then we created the walk your schedule. I laid out each day of the week. So Monday, I wrote his first class down and then the building and the room number. And then the next class, the building and the room number. Same thing for each day of the week so that he was going to start at the drop-off location for that day, walk to that particular class, and then go from that class to his next class, and then from there to the pickup location. Then he would do the same thing for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So he knew exactly the route that he would need to go each day, especially for an autistic individual. Knowing what to expect ahead of time is really going to go a long way with alleviating some anxiety and some nerves. Of course, there's still going to be anxiety and nerves associated with a first day at anything. Everybody has them. But this is going to bring that anxiety and nerves down a notch because now your son or daughter knows exactly where they need to go. It's not brand new for them navigating it. And I also would recommend maybe even timing the walk, because my guess is that maybe your son or daughter isn't great at time management. You may need to have them time how long it takes them to walk from the drop off location to their first class, so that they're factoring that in for when they need to leave home, because those travel times, those walking times, or if your child is a driver, the time it takes to drive around and find a parking spot. Let me tell you, parking on a college campus is not always easy. And sometimes you have to park far away and you have kind of a hike to get from your first class. Those types of activities, they take up time. But when an individual has time blindness or time management challenges, they will forget to account for that 5-minute walk or that 5 to 10 minutes that it takes them to drive around in the parking lot and find a spot, and then be chronically 5 to 10 minutes late to everything because they're not factoring in that time. That's another important thing that you want to do. You want to time this walk your schedule and in the walk in between classes and whatnot, so that your son or daughter is very clear as to how much time they need to allot for to get to their classes on time, and really help set themselves up for success. After that, when you're doing your walkthrough, I just put down some examples of some important offices or spots on campus that your son or daughter might need to know. But of course, all of this is going to vary based on the college campus that your child is on, the things that are important for your child to locate for themselves for their academic success. Make a list of where these important places are: disability support centers, academic advisor's office, tutoring center, registrar, bursar, cafeteria, library. These are all important places for your son or daughter to know where they are so they feel comfortable going there. Because let me tell you, if your son or daughter doesn't feel comfortable going somewhere or doesn't quite know where it is, it could maybe prevent them from initiating going to one of those places to do something that they need to do that's important for them to do in order to be successful in their college semester. And at this point, maybe you've gone on college visits and campus visits and you've located some of these things before, but it can't hurt to refresh your son or daughter's memory. And I would encourage you to let your son or daughter be the leader in this pre-semester walkthrough, and you kind of be the follower, because we were looking for independence here. We don't want you to be leading your child where to go, and then when they get there, they're still feeling like they're doing it by themselves for the first time. Let them lead the way and you kind of just be the follower. Locating these things just crosses that thing off the list, and again, makes the anxiety less and makes it much more likely that your child will visit these places in the future because they feel comfortable knowing how to get there. All right, so that was point number 1. Moving on to the number 2 thing that you can do to help your son or daughter set them up for success in college is set up an appointment with their academic advisor about 4 to 6 weeks into the semester. Just help your child make that appointment up front at the start of the semester, so that this is an automatic touch point for the student. They don't have to remember to do it. They don't have to wait until they're like maybe having some challenges in class and they don't know how to navigate the system, or they don't know how to navigate the tutoring or support that they need. Let's just get that appointment on the calendar set up right away so that it's already there as a touch point for your son or daughter. And then even if it's just a meeting and the advisor is just checking in, saying how things are going, and if everything's going great, awesome, then it was just a meeting to touch base and see how everything's going, and the answer was great. But if there are struggles that are starting to take place, this gives the student the opportunity and the advisor the opportunity to get your son or daughter set up with the tools they need before they get too deep in the weeds with getting behind on their assignments or getting behind on the work or feeling confused. There is a date for every college in the semester where it's like last day to withdraw from classes. You want to identify the date, the last day to withdraw from classes date. Mark it on your child's calendar, your son or daughter's calendar. Of course, we're not going to manifest that they're going to need to withdraw from classes, but it's important to know what that date is just in case. Because if your child, maybe they took on too much, maybe they signed up for too many classes and the workload is way more than they were expecting it to be, and they're drowning and they're really struggling in one particular class, if you can withdraw from that class before that withdrawal date, then that's going to remove that class from your child's schedule before it leaves a blemish on their academic record, before they get the failing grade or the D or the grade that they don't want on their record and bringing down their GPA. Because if your student, if your son or daughter has a GPA that is too low in college, they will be put on what's called academic probation and would be at risk of having to leave the college. And this is what we're trying to prevent. If you have that appointment with the academic advisor set up on the calendar 4 to 6 weeks into the semester prior to that withdrawal date, it gives the academic advisor time to put things into place to help your son or daughter before they start to drown. That was tip number 2. So obviously you want to make sure that your son or daughter, along with that, knows who their academic advisor is and has their name and contact information readily available so that they know how to contact them, where they're located on campus, to just take away as many barriers to access as possible. That's what a lot of these tips are. We're just removing the barriers to access so that your child, who already might have some weaknesses and some insecurities and some heightened anxieties that maybe a neurotypical college student doesn't have, we're just kind of leveling the playing field a little bit for them so that they can get the help that they need when they need it and feel more confident navigating the college environment. My next tip at the start of the semester, this is so important, especially for individuals that have difficulty with time management, difficulty breaking down larger assignments into smaller chunks, and difficulty initiating their work or initiating communication with their teachers or people of authority. This is very important, and it's something that's not expected in most high school classrooms, and that is to go over the syllabi of all of the classes with your son or daughter. In college, you may or may not know this, when the first day of class, you get a document called the syllabus. And the syllabus is like the holy grail of that class. It kind of outlines what all of the rules are for that class, attendance policies, what the expectations are from the teacher for the student. It lays out what units are going to be covered for each date of class. It will often lay out the assignments that are due. I would say probably all colleges now have online platforms where the professors are using these as hubs, kind of like a Google Classroom. I know a lot of high schools and elementary schools are using this now too, but as the hub of where they are putting assignments, and they probably upload the syllabus on there as well. But it's important that your son or daughter doesn't get the syllabus the first day of class, stuff it into a folder or stuff it into their backpack, and all of a sudden it's crumpled up in a ball at the bottom of the backpack and it's never looked at again, because that is their guide to how to be successful in that class. So you, as the parent, want to set aside time to go through each of those syllabi with your son or daughter and actually go through and make like a cheat sheet of who to contact in case of an absence. Let me show you an example of that I did with one of my students. Here you can see it's just a template. I did this in a Jamboard, but the intention was that my student was going to copy it on an index card because he uses a paper planner and tape it into the front page of his paper planner. If your child or son or daughter uses an online calendar, online planner, then you can do this digitally. You can write it on an index card and have your son or daughter take a picture of it. This is a suggestion that I make a lot in my buddy group classes or with some of my students. Create a separate folder for things like this in your Photos app that says like important information or important college information. And then you can take a picture of all of the contact information for all of the classes your child is signed up for. And it's a very easy find. They don't have to go searching through all their photos to find it. They can go to the album it's stored in specifically and find it very easily that way. Again, you could do it more analog and write it on an index card. That's fine too. You have to find what works for your son or daughter. If they're more of a digital person, then you do it digitally. If they're more of a pen to paper kind of person, then that's what you want to do. So go through the syllabus and write down this information. The next thing you want to do when you're going through the syllabus is identify due dates of assignments and class reading and put them into the student's calendar. I am a huge proponent of digital calendars, especially for individuals with executive functioning challenges, because then you have the ability to set up reminders to go off at the time that the young student, your son or daughter, needs to do that particular assignment. If you write it in a paper planner, if your son or daughter is really good about checking that paper planner every day and seeing what they need to do every day, great. But most times, I find that my students with executive functioning challenges, they need in-the-moment reminders. And one way to give them those in-the-moment reminders while still leading them towards being independent is using digital calendars or using apps that are like to-do list apps that you can set specific times to go off, or reminder apps that you can set to go off at certain times. We want to write down all the due dates, like any tests, any sort of assignments that are due, and also class readings. What happens in college that you don't necessarily have as much of in high school, which will be a big change. It's a big change for most college students, but it's especially going to be a big change for your son or daughter that has gotten a high level of support from being in the special education system, in the school system. There's going to be a lot of almost like hidden work or unspoken work. On the syllabus, it might say chapter 1, that's what we're covering, but it's implied that the student has to show up for that class with chapter 1 being read already. These are the types of things that we need to make explicit to your son or daughter that has executive functioning challenges, because they might not be able to read between the lines of what they were supposed to do unless it was directly stated. So we have to map those things out on a calendar right from the get-go. And if we can have reminders put into place, great. If there are long-term assignments, and the professor has not set specific deadlines for all of the smaller steps that have to take place to complete that long-term assignment, I highly recommend you go through with your son or daughter and outline what are all the smaller steps that need to happen before you can even write the research paper. Okay, well, I have to go and I have to gather all my research. I have to write the outline. I have to write the rough draft, and then I can do the final paper. Then you're going to actually help your son or daughter outline when all of those smaller steps need to be done, so that it's not a week before their long-term paper is due and they haven't done a single thing. And now all of a sudden they have 3 papers due that day, plus a test, plus whatever else they have on their plate, and they don't have the time to do it. And now we're panicking, and now we're just kind of throwing our hands up in the air and giving up. The other thing I would say is your son or daughter is going to have to be much more independent in initiating getting their work done in between classes. There's really no one holding their hand along the way saying, like, you have to do this today, this is due tomorrow. Sometimes they have class once a week and they have to figure out between Tuesday to Tuesday when they're going to do that homework with nobody reminding them to do it. What I find is a great way to tackle this is to set up a weekly view of your child's schedule. You can do this really easily in something like a Google Calendar. And what I like about the Google Calendar, and there might be other calendars that do this as well, but what I really like about the Google Calendar is when you, let's say you schedule a class that's from 10:30 to 12, and you put that on the calendar, the Google Calendar creates an event that shows the duration of the class. But not only shows what you have to do, but it shows how much time that activity is taking up on the schedule. And that visual representation of time is really, really helpful for anyone with executive functioning challenges and with time management challenges, because it really helps them to see how much time things take up, and vice versa, where the empty slots are on the calendar. Here we have a weekly view calendar. I put in all of the class schedule. We went through together, and my student and I put in his class schedule. And notice in the red, I also have marked out travel, because again, those are the activities that someone with time management difficulties is going to forget to account for. We want to just eliminate that out as a possibility and put the travel in the calendar so they know that that's also time that's accounted for already and it's not free time. But then I went through and I took a blue highlighter and I squared off all of the chunks of free time. Aside from his class schedule, I put any other standing weekly appointments in there as well. So basically that's what you want to do. You want to just fill up. This is what your weekly schedule looks like. And what I highly recommend you do from here is for each class, have your son or daughter identify the time each week that they are going to devote to working on that class outside of class time, so that it's already set in stone. It's already predetermined. They don't have to think about it. You can set a reminder on the calendar and it can remind them, okay, it's time to do my math homework for the week. If your child is resistant to this, then you might have to set some sort of a reminder that goes off every Sunday that says, when are you going to do math homework, or schedule math homework time, or schedule music work time, and see if that is a strategy that might work a little better for them. If your child is resistant to setting a specific time, ask him or her what their ideas are, their thoughts on how they want to address this, because it's a reality that there's a lot more you have to figure out for yourself when you're going to do the extra work outside of class time. And especially if your son or daughter is not used to having homework or having a lot of work to do on their classes outside of school time, this is going to be something new for them. So it's going to be a new habit that they're forming, because they're not used to having to think about this. They're probably used to their free time being their free time to do whatever they need, whatever they want. But in college, we're starting to prepare them for the working world. And so with that comes added responsibilities outside of class time. It's a really great to start getting them in the habit of doing those responsibilities and that work outside of class time by just setting a specific time on the calendar for them to work on it. And setting up a weekly view of your calendar, of a calendar like this, can be really, really helpful for them to visually see what days they have a lot of time to work on it and what days they don't. You can ask your child's preference, like, would you prefer to do your homework on a day that you already have classes and you're kind of already in that work mode? Or would you prefer to do it on a day that you don't have anything else to do, and so that's your homework day? My particular student didn't have classes on Fridays. That's very common. A lot of college students don't have classes on Fridays. Maybe you just ask your son or daughter, how about Friday is your homework day? For me, I'm the type of person that I would prefer to do the work that I have to do on days I'm already working, so that a day off is like a complete day off. But get your feedback from your son or daughter so that they feel like they have autonomy and some ownership over this, while still getting that support from you that they need to be successful. All right, that's it. Those are my pointers for you of how you can set your child up for success in college, especially when it's their first semester. But if your son or daughter has already been in college and maybe they're having a tough go of it, it's never too late to implement these sorts of things. If they are resistant to you making these suggestions, maybe you can talk to an academic advisor, or you could talk to the tutoring center and see if they can help. If there's someone there that can go over these things with your son or daughter, you can look into getting an executive functioning coach for your son or daughter and have them work on these sorts of things to see if they'll be more receptive to someone like that. But your son or daughter's college will have resources available. A lot of colleges now have special disability resource centers. Most colleges have tutoring centers. So help your son or daughter utilize those things if they are not receptive to hearing it from you or getting that support from you. But I guarantee that if you take the time to do these things that I mentioned in today's video with your young adult, that their college semester is going to go by a lot more smoothly for them, and they're going to see a lot more success as a result. So I wish you the best of luck. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video, comment below. Let me know what you thought on today's video. Let me know what you would like me to talk about next. I would love to hear feedback from my viewers so that I'm really putting out videos that you need in your life so that we all together can create the most fruitful and fulfilling lives for our autistic loved ones. That's it for today. Have a great day. Bye.